Okay, hi everybody. Thank you so much for joining us at today's final meeting of the Government Structure Committee of the Los Angeles Charter Reform Commission. Today we are going to take some votes and discuss some items that we will transmit first to the Ad Hoc Committee that meets this Saturday. So if you're here for public comment, hopefully you come to that meeting as well, because that's where these motions will now live after this committee is dissolved. But first we're going to start off with roll call. The chair is present, Commissioner Fuentes.
Present.
And Commissioner Mack.
Present.
Great, we have a quorum. We're going to begin with public comment, and then we'll take some community impact statements and then go into approval of the minutes. But I will now give it to the Executive Director to administer in-person public comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome everyone. We are going to do in-person public comment first, then flip over to virtual, and then to do a final sweep of in-person. It is a one-item agenda, plus general public comment makes for a maximum of 2 minutes of public comment. I'll call your name, come and tell me how long you speak, and then I'll give you a 30-second warning when your time is approaching. It's just Nick and Mike who've signed up, so come on up. All right. In whatever order, since it's just you two. Come on down. Okay, hold on, let me get my timer ready.
I'll take 2, as you know.
Stand by, please, good sir, and go.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Nick Caputo. I'm the Executive Director of Livable Advanced LA. I want to speak briefly about council expansion and the role of the city attorney. On council size, you know that LA is profoundly underrepresented. We have some of the largest council districts in the country and the world, but deeper problem is that this concentrates power, reduces accountability, and most critically, turns council offices into catch-all service hubs for problems they were never designed to handle, and that is one of the biggest issues that we never talk about. Expanding to 31 is not just about representation. It is about workload realism. Council offices today are doing enormous amounts of spillover work that is not in their job description because departments are understaffed, underfunded, or poorly coordinated. Constituent services, project troubleshooting, and capital issue triage often fall to council staff simply because no one else is empowered or resourced to act. This commission should be explicit about that reality. Additional recommendations by the full commission on hiring authority, personnel levels, interdepartmental coordination, and especially a real capital improvement plan would meaningfully reduce the pressure on council offices and allow council members to focus on legislation, oversight, and policy rather than operational firefighting. With those structural fixes in place, expanded council districts are even more effective and would actually require fewer staff because city departments would finally be equipped to do their job. So this addresses the budget problem of a growing council. I also want to note an institutional truth. This body is advisory. Your recommendations will be filtered, edited, and negotiated by City Council. That means your obligation is not to do what feels politically feasible, but to tell the truth about what the system actually needs. If you undershoot here, there is no later stage where bolder ideas magically reappear. That and make charter reform every 10 years, automatically. LA does not suffer from a lack of talent or ambition. It suffers from a structural overload and misaligned incentives. Charter reform is the moment to fix that honestly and tell them what actually is the problem. Tell them like it is. As an advisory body, that is the responsibility in addition. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 minutes, perfect.
Yes.
Right on the mark. 2 minutes, Michael?
Hey, yes, 2 minutes.
And go.
So I want to comment a little bit about your full commission meeting last week. The Fed tapes are why you're here, but you should have been set up right after the Fed tapes came out, and you would have had a couple of years, and by having the right amount of time, as you narrow down these alternatives, then they all should have gone to all 15 council districts with great outreach and inviting people from the community to say, how do you think this system would work, this one and this one? That hasn't happened. But worse, last week, because of that swift motion to just move everything to the Ad Hoc Committee, we didn't even have any process whatsoever from the full commission for the first time to talk about ranked choice voting or proportional ranked choice voting. Nothing, gone. So that's not good. And when it goes to this Ad Hoc Committee, whatever they do, it's going to come back to your full commission. And as I've argued before, that when it goes back to your full commission, because this process especially has been cut so short, under-resourced, unfair, too short of time. The council needs to be forwarded the status quo system, single seat with RCV and multi-seat with PRCV, with a good compare and contrast. And we're working on that to get an initial draft in for Saturday. But we're gonna keep working on it, and what'll be crazy—
30 seconds.
What'll be crazy is if Saturday they voted down, then who's gonna do the research to do that compare and contrast other than what you're getting from us before it comes back to the full commission? It's almost like a strategy to kill it. So I just want to lay that out there. Eventually it's going to come back to you, and we're going to keep trying to make sure that the council ultimately gets all three alternatives, and the whole community does when it gets to them. Thank you.
And thank you. We're going to switch to virtual. Perfect. Kate's going to help me out with that. We only have one, so we're going to call your name, one person here in a second, and we'll take you off of mute, and you'll let us know how long you'll want. It's Frank. Frank, we're taking you off of mute right now. Frank, can you hear us? Frank? On, we're trying. Frank, can you hear us? Am I unmuted? Is my laptop unmuted? There we go.
We're not getting any audio on
There we go.
Zoom.
We can hear you now, Frank. Can you hear us? Frank, we could hear you. Frank. So close.
Can you type in the chat? Is there like a chat you can type in?
So the Zoom audio wasn't working until just now, so now we're getting people raising their hand.
Oh, okay. Oh, people couldn't hear the
Getting any audio on Zoom.
Okay, sorry. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Okay, can you hear us now? Okay, so folks, if you can hear me now, we're gonna, we'll call you your name, we'll take you off mute, and we'll ask you to tell us how long you'd like to speak. I'll give a 30-second warning. All right, Frank? Frank? Okay, we're gonna come back to Frank maybe. Let's try Marcella. Marcella, we're gonna take you off of mute here in 2 seconds. Hopefully you'll be able to hear us, Marcella. Marcella?
Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect. Yes. Go for it, Marcella.
I can actually hear you guys, so maybe it might be just the audio on their end.
Okay, could you hear the beginning as well?
Yes, I did hear the beginning.
Okay, perfect. Okay, that was my big worry. Okay, fantastic. All right, Marcella, how long would you like?
Just a minute.
Okay, go.
Awesome. Hello, commissioners. Marcela Miranda Prieto here. You all know me from Cal RCV. Just wanted to take a quick second here to thank you all for the great work that you've been doing, both on this committee and at last week's full commission meeting. I'm very much looking forward to this upcoming ad hoc committee, but I am excited that you guys are going to be visiting council expansion today, because as you know, all these issues connect council expansion along with electoral reform with RCV and PRCV. I also want to voice my support for
30 seconds.
lowering the voting age, as I've expressed in the past, and I'm hoping that you guys are able to take on this council expansion conversation to the ad hoc committee this upcoming Saturday, so that we are able to have a productive conversation as we pair it up with RCV and PRCV. Again, you know how to reach me, and I'm here as a resource. Thank you again for all your work.
Thank you, Marcella. Next is going to be Lawan. Lawan, we're taking you off of mute. Hopefully you can hear us.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. How long would you like?
So I think 2 minutes should be fine.
Go.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, members of the LA Charter Review Committee Commission. My name is Lawan Allen. I serve as the Executive Director of Vote 16 USA. We're a national organization that supports youth-led campaigns to extend voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds. We have 15 jurisdictions across the country that have done just that, including 3 in the great state of California, Berkeley, Oakland, and Albany, California. I am here today to show my strong support for extending voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds in Los Angeles and urging the commission to support this reform and recommend it to the City Council. Extending voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds is not just about lowering the voting age to 16 and giving young people a voice in their communities, knowing that young people are disproportionately impacted by the decisions that we make today. We know young people work, drive, pay taxes. But in addition to all of that, we also know that extending voting rights to 16 and 17-year-olds strengthens our democracy. Young people have some of the most innovative solutions to some of their community's most pressing issues. And the fact that they are completely disregarded at a very important age, the fact that they are completely disregarded from the political process in the ballot box is a complete disservice to them and their ideas and their voices, but also to our democracy as a whole.
30 seconds.
And so I'm here today, and I see other members on this call as well who are part of our network in urging this commission to recommend this to the City Council. If there are any follow-up questions or comments that folks want to talk about, please feel free to visit our website. You can contact us there. And I certainly appreciate the commission's time and work on this issue. And thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Alrighty, our next. Laura, we're taking you off of mute here right now. Hopefully you can hear us. Laura?
Hello.
Hello. How long would you like?
2 minutes.
Go.
Great. Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Ray Lake, and I'm a UCLA professor and an expert in youth civic engagement. I'm here to speak in strong support for lowering the voting age as part of the LA Charter reform. Research clearly shows that young people are capable of voting and that early voting would benefit youth and democracy. By the age of 18, young people's capacities for planning and for reasoned decision-making are very well solidified. Many adolescents are already actively civically engaged, especially in Los Angeles, and voting is a logical next step to that. Internationally, lowering the voting age has led to increases in adolescents' political interest and knowledge, and it also increases their voter turnout. The positive effects of lowering the voting age on voter turnout have shown to be lasting for up to 17 years, and this is because voting early helps young people establish lifelong voting habits. In addition, lowering the voting age can increase the voting rates of young people's parents. Age 16 is a more developmentally appropriate time to introduce voting because younger people have more reliable access to school, community, and family supports. Voting is an especially valuable civic learning opportunity for young people with immigrant parents who don't have a long voting history in the U.S.
30
and
seconds.
Of course, we know that young people are directly affected by many policy decisions, and they deserve to have a say in the issues that affect them. By enacting voting age reform, Los Angeles would join 15 cities across the U.S., including 3 in California, who have already lowered the voting age, and that would demonstrate a commitment to strengthening democratic rights and growing lifelong voters. And I'd be happy to share more about this research with the Commission. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Harout? Harout, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes. How long would you like, Harout?
Before I ask for time, this is my first time attending one of these meetings, so I just want to know, what are we commenting on exactly? I've already picked up like voting age and then city council expansion, but is this just general commentary?
Sure, Harout. It's the agenda's posted. Hopefully that's how you saw the link, and that's the subject matter. You also have the opportunity to speak on general public comment for a minute or on the topics being discussed for 1 minute. Total of 2 minutes. Your time.
Yeah, I'll take 2 minutes. Part of my confusion was I'm used to some of the other meetings like Metro where they do
Okay.
it's per agenda item. But regardless, I'd like to state my excuse me. I'd like to state my support for city council expansion. I don't think we need to look too far back for examples of corruption in LA city history, and I think that by expanding, the council allows for a little bit more accountability, especially on the local level. It seems a little crazy to me that each city council person represents 200,000 people, and we're expected to be able to reach these representatives and influence their decision-making more than the big moneyed interests that exist in our districts. So I'm very pro expanding the city council, honestly, as much as possible. And I'm also very pro splitting the responsibilities of the city attorney. That seems like another choke point, another essentially area where one person or some people can have undue influence over too many aspects of the way that our city functions. And again, I think we don't need to look too far back to see elected officials like the city attorney acting not necessarily with the best interests of the entire city in mind. So just generally, I'd like to state my support for anything that will be done to dilute the power of people who have been shown, of positions who have been shown to be a little too susceptible to undue influence. And I'd like to thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Amy? Amy, we're taking you off mute right now. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. How long would you like?
2 minutes.
Go.
First, I would like to speak to some of the comments made by Commissioner Andrades during the last meeting. Specifically, when an argument you made was about the critical AI impacting the critical thinking of young people. And I don't want to hear you making that argument again. If you start making that argument, you can then use the same logic to say Gen Z and boomers shouldn't be able to vote due to lead poisoning. Or maybe no one over the age of 70 should be allowed to vote because they're at higher risk of dementia. Determining who is allowed to vote based on perceived intelligence is dangerous, undemocratic, uncalled for, and the basis our founders used to keep voting rights limited to property-owning white men. But moving on, as a former LAUSD student, I wish I had this when I was 16. I was in 7th grade when No Child Left Behind was passed and watched it as it made irreparable damages to my school and experienced the changes LAUSD made in response. I wish I had a voice during that time. This is also not a new idea for LAUSD. This was something that we talked about when I was in high school with my teachers. But more importantly, the current LAUSD student body isn't surprisingly active. You may have noticed that there are frequent student walkouts.
30 seconds.
That has been the case for decades. This is something that students have cared about, will continue to care about, and is not just a new idea that is needed. It has been passed on from one generation to the next, and we really need this passed this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Elizabeth, taking you off of mute now. Hopefully you can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you.
1 or 2 minutes.
Great, thank you. So for the reference of the committee,
1 or 2 minutes? Sorry.
2 minutes, yes.
Go.
Yes, okay, for the reference of the committee, I am using my teacher's laptop. My name is Annabelle Brusky. I would also like to thank the commission for all the work it has been doing towards lowering the voting age and towards youth enfranchisement. And for this, I would like to offer the perspective of a 16-year-old organizer, a youth myself, who with our school's organization, the Legion of Voters, has registered over 2,000 voters. And for me, this really proves just how civically active youth can be and how deeply we care about politics and the world around us. Because I have seen at my own school how competent youth can be. For example, just today I was with a group in our school who does a lot of advocacy in our community, they're a club, and they were all incredibly interested in what issues that are going on in our community. For example, we are currently, as youth, working to install protected bike lanes in our cities. And these are just some of the few things that youth are doing for our communities. And thus, I strongly believe that we deserve a vote when it comes to issues that impact us. Youth who have jobs pay taxes. And we need a voice, as there is no true taxation without representation, one of the founding principles that this country was built upon. And ultimately, youth have proven more than competent of being able to vote and make good decisions. For example, psychologically, youth's cold cognition is fully developed by the age of 16, meaning that the cold cognition, the decision that we use in order to vote
30 seconds.
is ultimately developed, and meaning youth are just as competent in that regard as any other adult would be. And ultimately, this will create a snowball effect if LA does move forward with this for youth enfranchisement across the nation and for California Vote 16 California is the organization that I am part of and helped co-found at the last Vote 16 USA convention. And I really just hope that the commission agrees to help enfranchise youth everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker. Sorry, who? Fiona. Fiona, we're taking you off of mute. Can you hear us, Fiona?
Yes, I can hear everyone. Hi, this is Fiona, and 2 minutes will be good for public comment.
How long? 2 minutes?
2 minutes is good. Awesome. As a current high schooler myself, I've also learned a lot about advocacy and the importance of giving young people the opportunity to participate in civic and democratic processes. Building up of what Annabelle has just talked about, I stand fully in support of lowering the voting age to 16 because it allows young people for an actionable and actually preparing them to vote and participate in the future. During my first-hand experience as a current high schooler, I've seen how inspired, how intelligent, and how capable students are to make decisions. But here's the issue. They have the capacity to do so, but aren't given the actual opportunity to make a difference in their world because of these obstacles in their place. But encouraging and allowing people who are 16 and 17 to vote is what creates and allows enfranchisement. When many of these folks and my peers ourselves already have worked, when we already have tax forms and, submit our 1099s, but don't have the capacity to determine where our taxes are located, is a concern in allowing young people to actually achieve the democratic process, but also ensuring that young people's voices can be heard. Standing in support of lowering the voting age to 16 and 17 is a huge and momentous support in allowing young people to participate, not just now, but creating a cycle of democratic engagement, but also ensuring that we're able to hear the voices of people who deserve to have their voices counted.
30 seconds.
And in this first-hand experience of learning and understanding how capable young people are, we should never underestimate the knowledge and the preparation that we have already made within our government classes, but instead give them the opportunity to actually have their voice heard and see that have a ripple across the United States. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next speaker. Christian. Christian, we're taking you off of mute. Can you hear us, Christian?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, 1 or 2 minutes.
I'm going to try to do it in 1 minute. I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Go.
Well, at the national level, I think it's obvious that since Citizens United passed, we have a plutocracy. So I think it'd be excellent if you can do anything to get closer to campaign finance reform at the city level. So I think you should create a democracy vouchers public financing program where citizens could get public vouchers to spend on candidates they'd like to see so that we can get closer to an actual democracy. Also, I would like you to expand the city council and please study the different models to increase the size of that. I would also like you to designate the city controller as the chief financial officer. I think that's another good proposal to do at the charter, for the charter. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jester, we're taking you off of mute. Can you hear us, Jester?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes. 1 or 2 minutes?
2 minutes, please.
Go.
So good afternoon to the Charter Reform Commission. My name is Jester Jersey, and I'm a supporter of lowering the voting age. I'm also the social media administrator for the Vote 16 California X/Twitter account, which I run on behalf of the Vote 16 USA organization, who are trying to raise awareness of this issue being discussed today, as you've heard from some people and from Director Allen earlier. I appeal to the Commission to keep dialogue around this topic open. I've submitted a written comment, so please feel free to refer to it for more details. But I want to say that lowering the voting age is the right thing to do. I've worked with numerous youth organizations for more than a decade now, including Vote 16 USA, the National Youth Rights Association, Power California, Generation Vote, and too many others to name. They all agree that lowering the voting age to 16 is possible and important. Lowering the voting age is not some political fad, but a decision that will have lifelong consequences for individual voters while improving our democracies. Cities in the Bay Area like Berkeley and Oakland have it for school board elections, and Albany has it along with municipal elections. Palo Alto is working on efforts as we speak, while Culver City nearby is also continuing the fight to empower young people. We should not abandon these talks, but rather empower supporters who want to expand democracy. Last summer, LA hosted the first national gathering of Vote 16 supporters from across the country. We thank your city for its generosity and hospitality. Now let's continue that dialogue. I humbly ask the Commission to continue looking at this important issue so we can hear from those who are affected.
30 seconds.
But decisions today, you have no say in the matter. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Frank, can you hear us? Frank?
Yes, but I have no comment.
Okay, thank you, Frank. Fantastic. We'll do in person, one more sweep. I see a couple people who usually public comment who came in late. So just calm on down. 1 or 2 minutes.
2 minutes, please.
And go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Ross Weisschaffer, volunteer at RepresentLA, and you've seen in public comment RepresentLA's evidence on lowering the voting age, and we've stressed the importance of making decisions on this issue based off of evidence. But I think it's appropriate that at the core of this evidence is the theme of civic engagement, because it reminds me what we cannot teach about civic engagement in the classroom, and that's civic experience. Because only civic experience in practice can teach courage. It takes courage to walk up to this mic for the first time, or to sit down in front of that mic for the first time. It takes courage to ask tough questions about politics for the first time, and to cast a vote for the first time. But then it gets easier. But that self-reinforcing cycle cannot begin without your courage now. And it's not that courageous. City of LA voters are and were enthusiastic supporters of democratic rights issues on the November 2024 ballot, with margins on issues like Prop 3 on the right for marriage and the Constitution, or Prop 6 on limiting forced labor by prisoners, by 6 points above LA County and 10 points above California, and of course on the issue of president, 20 points above the nation. And when national leaders like Kamala Harris, Pramila Jayapal, Karen Bass have endorsed lowering the federal voting age, the least we can do in Los Angeles is to have courage and let the voters decide for themselves if LAUSD students should have a say in their education. Let's invite more people, more young people, more students, LA City voters into this discussion with us, and not be a barrier between them and the question of what democratic rights Angelenos should have. Thank you.
Thank you. And next up, Rob, 1 or 2 minutes.
Are you discussing the Fuentes-Schlageter motion?
It's a motion that will come up, probably be made, yes. But it's not on the agenda.
Well, I'm just concerned because that might be something that needs to be placed on the agenda if you're going to discuss it, because it's not within the subject matter jurisdiction of the committee.
I believe it is, but go ahead. 1 or 2 minutes.
I would prefer 3 just for the record, but I'll stick with 2.
Thank you.
As to lowering the voting age, I think we should keep a few things in mind regarding its viability for LAUSD. Students do have unique insights on LAUSD schools that many adults completely lack. I did not go to LAUSD schools. Public polling shows that there's strong support for lowering the voting age for for school boards specifically compared to other offices. And if you're concerned about how many questions we're lumping onto the ballot, how much we're complicating things, this would have to be a separate question for voters to consider. There are people across all ages you could argue lack the voter sophistication necessary, but a good chunk of those people probably won't have any interest in registering or turning out, and that really doesn't matter anyways. Voting serves many purposes, and arguably more important than deciding who wins and loses is the general assurance that our elected officials can't grow too far out of reach and are compelled to be responsive to the needs of the entire electorate, regardless of their connections, sophistication, or age. We are talking about a sliver of the population. I don't think we should overstate the danger that this is going to throw off election results. On the city attorney's office, I want to be clear, I really do want to see this office split up, but I do have concerns about the details. I'm not surprised that Justin thinks we should let the mayor appoint the city attorney, but when we're trying to depoliticize the office, we should maybe not have one person initiating that. At a minimum, the council should be the appointing authority, subject to mayoral veto, and ideally we come up with a way of ensuring that the council president isn't simply selecting who that appointee is, like we've seen with council vacancies. Obviously, our council members would love to see it easier for them to get their way with the city attorney, but the rationale for this divorce cuts both ways, and the staff report omits the most important one. That is giving the clear authority for the city prosecutor to enforce all misdemeanors. If we're not empowering the elected prosecutor to enforce campaign and ethics misdemeanors, then this isn't worthy a trade-off. And as far as the motion, I do want to just note, it's unfortunate that we're looking to motions like this because the Planning and Infrastructure Committee is unwilling to depoliticize the Board of Public Works, which is what we should actually be focusing on.
Thank you. 2 minutes. All right. Anyone else? Lionel? Come on up. Or down. Or over. 1 or 2 minutes?
2 minutes, please.
Go.
Lionel Mares, Council District 6 stakeholder and budget advocate speaking for myself. For this purpose, I'd like to mention that I do believe we need to make our government much better than it is now. I echo the comments made by the callers on Zoom and in person. I believe that we have to make those significant changes in order to make our government more responsive, transparent, and accountable for the people of Los Angeles. I do believe that the voting age should be lowered because there are many active young people out there who are intelligent, educated, who want to be part of our democracy, who want to engage, and we should give them the opportunity. And when I was young, I was very active. I couldn't vote when the Valley was deciding to secede from LA, so I couldn't vote, but I would have if I could. But I think that we have to make those changes for future generations so people in Los Angeles could thrive. And I believe that our government was created by our founders to have checks and balances. We need to have checks and balances in our city council, in our mayor's office, city attorney, city controller, and we have to make sure that no one is above the law. Because Alexander Hamilton said, in our government, no one is above the law. We have to ensure that no one commits a crime, even elected officials. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, that concludes public comment.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody who gave remarks during today's public comment. Next on our agenda is community impact statements. Do any neighborhood councils here today have approved community impact statements, either virtual or in person? Seeing none, we're going to move on to approval of the meeting minutes from our meeting on Wednesday, November 19th. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes?
So moved.
Any dissent? Seeing none, the meetings are approved. Now we're going to move on to item number 1 of today's agenda. So as you'll see from as you'll see from the online materials that were submitted, we had a few memos that our staff was able to put together. In our November 19th meeting, we asked for further research. So Mr. Executive Director, if you could go over the memos and information for us, that would be helpful.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioners, before you, we do have 3 memos that we were able to prepare in preparation for this meeting. As you all know, that this last Government Structure Committee meeting was moved up by a week, so we had to kind of triage what we were able to get to you in time for this expedited meeting, and then also hopefully we'll have more. I believe we'll have more for Saturday's ad hoc meeting for the research. But would love to discuss these 3 memos and give you all time to ask questions and deliberate on them, and hopefully also make recommendations on these specific things if you so choose. These are items that you've technically already voted for and asked for further research and voted to move forward. So I will start, let's see, I'll start with LA City Attorney one, and then we'll do council expansion, and then end with voting and expand the voting electorate for city and LA USD, and I'll bring in my colleagues to help on these various memos as well. Before you on the city attorney structure, we have kind of 2, if not 2.5 models here that include, the commission has requested by the full vote to move forward with some modification. They have passed on no change, and I think that was where this committee was going as well, passing on no change. So here are the options that have been moved forward, including, we'll start with the, we've got a lot of structures laid out various forms throughout this memo, but we'll go straightly into options, including just having one appointed city attorney. There are cities throughout the state that, again, there are only, I believe, 14 cities in the state that have authority to prosecute crimes within their cities. Of those 14 cities, several of them have appointed city attorneys that have that authority, including Burbank, Hawthorne, Inglewood, Pasadena, and Santa Monica. All have a single city attorney authority that's appointed that both does all the legal advising for city departments, all the litigation for throughout the city, both incoming and outgoing, and then also the duties of a city prosecutor that is separate from whatever county prosecutorial authority is. Here in LA, we also have the LA County District Attorney that prosecutes the remainder of crimes. I do note the National Civil League organization that works with cities across America on good governance has put together kind of some model codes and model charters that they share and work with cities on this, and one of their recommendations is this structure, and I'll quote them that the league states that this is designed to limit concern that the attorney's advice is tilted to either the legislative or an executive branch, because an appointed city attorney will be appointed by the mayor and confirmed by the city council. So it's that two-step process that makes them beholden to kind of both of them instead of the electorate, instead of having to run for office, collect campaign donations, get endorsements, and the like. So we kind of spell that out, and we also kind of, the argument here is, there is an argument to be had, and the city attorney has made it that the city attorneys that's elected by the people is representing the people, and that's her client. But the counter side is it's the departments, it's the mayor, it's the city council who are actually asking for the advice and getting that advice directly from the city attorney. Much like any of us here or anyone in this room, if we want to go out and get legal advice, we can pick our attorney and we can fire our attorney at any point in time. That's how the American jurisprudence system is established. So that kind of models what is being recommended here, the ability for, with checks and balances, for a city attorney to be appointed by a mayor and approved by city council. That's option one. Option two has variations within it called bifurcation, but the bifurcation model that we're proposing here that was directed by the commission and we researched is having an appointed city attorney and an elected city prosecutor. This mirrors the county structure, where the county has, again, the elected city district attorney, and then a appointed city county council. In that model, there's only really one appointing authority. It's the 5 members of the board of supervisors. It's 5 currently, going to expand to 9, but it's not. There probably will be some changes once there is a CEO. I can't predict what those changes are, but I can imagine that maybe the future CEO will appoint with approval of the Board of Supervisors, which is something that we're outlining here as a model to be similar to. And then we kind of lay out some of the changes. Obviously, even within that model, you have variations. You can have them both appointed, you can have them both elected, but the one that we're laying out here as directed was an appointed city attorney and an elected city prosecutor. Lastly, a variation, the 0.5, if you will, is the Office of Legislative Counsel. We've seen models of that, in various places, including New York. What we looked at here is, the ability maybe to still have a legal structure, a legal department for the mayor and all the departments doing all the legislation, and then an office legislative council that kind of transforms the CLA or becomes the CLA or is reporting to the CLA or however you want to do it, and works directly with the city council on all legislative affairs and gives them legal advice. Alrighty, I think I've laid out the main points. Did I miss anything? Anyone take anything? All right, so that's kind of what the memo lays out. Happy to take any questions, but also we'll let you discuss.
Thank you. Does anybody want to kick it off for discussion? I think that before we do that, though, I will remind the committee that we have, at least with this specific topic, we have some conflicting reforms. So I think today, the thing that we should do is at least try to deconflict that before it's transmitted to the Ad Hoc Committee. So either proceeding with one of the three models or finding a way that we can change one of the models via motion so that they work together. But after that, I guess we could start off just with top line opinion or what we think should be done, or if we have one that we favor over the other. Does anybody want to start with that?
Can you say a little bit more about adjusting the motion, like you suggested, so that they're not
Oh, yeah, that's a good question. So like Justin said, before us, we have three potential options. One is an appointed city attorney. So the way that it's written would be really similar to how the city attorney currently functions, same roles and responsibilities, but just appointed and not elected. The other one would be bifurcating the role, so that could be a separate option. And then, as it currently is written, the Office of Legislative Counsel is not compatible with the bifurcation model. So we would either have to choose one of those three or amend one of them so that they can be compatible with the other. So just trying to make sure that we don't give conflicting opinions that we put forward, but figuring out one that we think makes sense. Any top line? I can start off. I think that probably bifurcating the city attorney's office is what I am most interested in. In particular, I kind of want to match a structure similar to what the state does, where they have, and it's written this way, but in the state, the Attorney General's clients are the people in the state of California, and then the Office of Legislative Counsel's clients are the state legislature, the governor, and then departments under the governor's purview. So basically, my opinion is bifurcating the role so that we have an elected city prosecutor who I do think actually should have the ability to prosecute all misdemeanors, like was raised in public comment, not just the ones that were explicitly written here. And then we would have a separate office whose clients are the mayor, city council, and then city departments. And I also want us to see if we can try to carve out a couple of commissions that are independent / agency with regard to the controller's office that I think should have the ability to retain counsel. I'm trying to figure out where exactly those attorneys would be housed, whether it's in this new appointed model or in the commissions themselves or elsewhere. But those are my top lines before I go into a formal motion. Does anybody have similar, divergent?
Yeah, I think just going off of your comments, to me that sounds like kind of a combination of the 2 and 3. I had a clarification in terms of just, I think we talked about the LA County as an example of a model. I was curious, do they have a Office of Legislative Counsel in the county? Do we know that?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. They just have county council.
And county council handles legislative affairs.
Yeah. Does everything from Brown Act meetings to everything else.
Other thoughts?
I think just right off the bat, I think initially I would be pretty interested in seeing what that amendment would look like in terms of combining 2 and 3 and seeing a model that kind of reflects, like you said, the state of California.
I mean, that's a good question. I think that what I would just do is, instead of calling the appointed official a city attorney, I would just call them the general counsel of the city of Los Angeles, and they would be in charge of an Office of Legislative Counsel. So it would be almost just as written, but I think keeping the phrasing city attorney could be a little confusing because we would have the city prosecutor and we would, so I like the bifurcation model. I think it's just, the only thing we would take from option 3 is the actual names.
If there's no other questions, I'm comfortable moving forward with that as proposed.
Do you mind? I can motion it if you
Yeah, so we're gonna
Yes.
Slowly and
So
clearly.
I will restate it, and then I'll seek a second. But basically, a motion to move forward with bifurcating the city attorney's office. It's option 2.
Pause right there.
With one entity being the city prosecutor who has the ability to prosecute all misdemeanors, and a second entity being the general counsel of the city of Los Angeles, who has as their clients the mayor and city council and departments in the city of Los Angeles. Now, that is my motion.
I think there, didn't you want to?
But
okay, go ahead. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt.
I am open to 2 friendly amendments.
Okay, go for it.
I would like one amendment that figures out what we're going to do with independent agencies / commissions, and another amendment that figures out what we're going to do with who actually has the appointing authority for the appointed general counsel.
It would be easier for us if you can make that
all one.
Or your first motion made, and then 2 separate motions.
We can do 2 separate motions.
Perfect.
Okay, so let's just do the first motion as written then.
Yep.
So that would end with that the second entity would be the general counsel of the city of Los Angeles, whose clients are as stated.
Perfect.
Okay. Do I have a second there?
Second.
Do I have any dissent?
Discussion.
Any discussion? Okay, do we want a roll call vote or voice vote? Do any commissioners vote no? Okay, then we're gonna proceed as forward. Okay, so then we need 2 other things that we want to figure out. One is should independent agencies and commissions, so for reference, that's the Ethics Commission, Charter Reform Commission, Independent Redistricting Commission, and then the controller.
It's just the independent. Sorry, it's the ethics. It's the independent redistricting, and it's the controller.
I would like to add in charter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, they're not in the charter.
So since we're government structure, I think it's fine that we can.
Okay.
I would like to plan on putting our commission in the charter anyways, because ordinance could always be changed. Yes, but do we have any discussion on that? And does anybody want to make a formal motion? I just want to figure out where exactly those independent lawyers would live, either in the office of the general counsel, but the general counsel would not have hiring authority, and they would not, or would they live in the commission themselves? I'm open to different thoughts and feedback, and then if staff has any opinions, that would also be helpful in this matter.
So we did get, presentation from Ethics Commission on hiring outside counsel, and I mean, their recommendation was like, well, they wanted a protected budget, but then they also wanted part of their budget just for outside counsel. So I think, in that scenario, it would be like it would be totally independent, where they would be in charge of, hiring and selecting their own outside and have their own budget. So it wouldn't really interact with like a city attorney.
And I'll caveat that term outside counsel. Outside counsel means that they're paying either a law firm or a lawyer outside of the city, which if this commission or this committee wants to move forward, that's fine. Or I think, another approach is just allowing them to hire their own attorney that reports to them, much like they would, some of them have the ability to hire their own executive director that reports to them. So that means that they can't be fired by the mayor or the council, that their hiring and firing authorities, they report to either the commission or the executive director of the commission. I would say probably the latter, but that's up to you.
Yeah, and I mean, my read on the Ethics Commission one is it's like, in special circumstances, they would hire an outside counsel for like a discrete period to help with something. So it wouldn't be like a permanent attorney that they would have all the time. Most of the time they'd use the city attorney, but if they had what they perceived as a conflict, they'd have the ability to hire an outside one, temporarily for that.
Okay, thoughts on this committee members? Do we favor one or the other? I think that giving these for lack of a better, I'm just gonna say commissions, but I'm also referring to the controller's office when I say this, was giving these independent entities the ability to hire, as listed, the ability to hire outside counsel to the matter at which they so choose, right? So their typical attorney would be the Office of General Counsel, or the Office of Legislative Counsel, who's chaired by the General Counsel. But if they so choose for either an extended period or a limited period, they have the ability to hire, because I think for the independent redistricting commissions, they would probably want their own attorney for the entirety of the commission, especially since they're redrawing districts, and some of those council members who are also represented by the general counsel would still have, they might be eligible for re-election. So I can see that entity wanting their own for an extended period of time, maybe also the controller's office. And I know that you had said in option 1, the ability to hire outside counsel as it relates to like legitimate law firms. But I know that Los Angeles we're in a fiscal crisis, and those fees are staggering oftentimes. So I'm just not the most comfortable moving that option 1 that you presented of having, the ability to hire outside counsel at actual law firms right now. But I think having your own embedded attorney, whether or not you want it full-time or in an ad hoc part-time basis, is fine with me. But does anybody else feel strongly about either of those?
I think clarification, if there is currently a motion on the table, I wasn't sure. I know we started
There's
to get
not,
at it.
no, there's not a motion, because I would love us to figure out
Okay.
what makes sense, and then we can do a motion if we have
And then was
different
hoping
opinions.
to, if you can repeat kind of what, I know you listed out a couple commissions, you talked about
Mhm.
IRC, you mentioned about charter reform. Was there a third one that I missed?
Yeah, it would be Independent Redistricting Commission, the Ethics Commission, Charter Reform, and then the Controller's Office also explicitly asked for this. So these are like the either independent commissions or independent agency that act as a check on the other two levers of power.
I'd support your framing about which commissions we're pulling out and why they need it to be embedded. I think our own charter reform discussions about the city attorney's office have proved why we need that as well. So I'm comfortable moving with that.
Yeah, just echoing, I think just our experience of trying to get, navigating this piece with city attorney and what we're able to do with outside counsel, I think there is existing roadblocks, and so I'm interested of what a proposal or what a menu recommendation could look like, and open to that as well.
Okay, does staff have recommended language seeing what we have just discussed here?
No, I guess the language would be, I'll do this live, which is fun. Motion to amend charter to allow ethics, controller, IRC, and CRC to hire direct counsel,
In-house, whatever the version in.
direct counsel. I think you want them to have the authority to fire with authority to fire. What am I missing here?
Hire, authority to fire, and then I don't know how we would frame this, but the timeline at which they hire that counsel is up to them. So, and if not, their primary counsel would be the general counsel.
Okay, yeah, I mean, we might have to research some of this language, but the general gist is for periods of time when a conflict is, oh, no, I don't want to say conflict, when requested. What am I missing? I feel like I'm missing connecting how, I don't know how to connect it back, how to get them back into the general counsel.
Oh, I would maybe start off with, I don't know how the charter language would be, but although general counsel would typically be primary counsel, the following entities have the ability to hire direct counsel, and then at the end, if they choose not to, they will maintain general counsel as their.
Let's see if Kate got that better than I did.
Can you clarify the instances?
Yep, we're almost there.
Yes. For clarification, the entities are the Charter Reform Commission, the Ethics Commission, the controllers, the controller, and then
The independent
district commission, IRC.
She'll send in her email comments before this is finalized, or is tonight?
Long before, there's long way before it's finalized. Okay, let's see, we're gonna see if Kate's got it.
Okay, although general counsel is the default for these entities, the Ethics Commission, Controller, IRC, and CRC have the authority to hire direct counsel with the authority to fire for periods of time when requested. If the entities don't hire outside counsel, then the general counsel is their default.
Yeah, we'll look for model language out there that other charters have, I'm sure, that would help this. But I think that captures the.
I'm okay with the spirit of that.
Spirit, yeah.
So I will motion that.
Okay.
Now, do I have a second?
Second.
Perfect. Any discussion? Okay, let's put it up for a vote. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
Perfect.
And just for, I guess, our own internal organization, so I mean, the reform relating to this we have on the table is, allow the controller to hire outside counsel, but this kind of like bleeds into some reforms from better government.
Yeah.
So we'll forward this one as part of that to the ad hoc, and then, you're gonna take up those other ones separately, but obviously this will bear on that.
Yeah, the ad hoc committee can parse out if they so choose, but I guess it would be seen as a conflicting motion, at least with that specific entity.
Okay.
Potentially.
Not so much conflicting as in there's synergy, actually.
Synergy, okay, that's good, that's good. Okay, the last thing, as was referenced in public comment, so this new motion that we made to create an office of, or to create a general counsel who oversees the Office of Legislative Counsel, who should appoint this general counsel? Do we think the mayor with city council's approval? Do we think city council with the mayor's ability to veto? I would love to hear what you're all thinking. That's actually, I don't even think that's written in here. But
Yeah, that is the model. The first part is the model that that we've laid out here. That was as directed and also analogous to the model from the National Civic League.
Great, thank you. Oh, I see it now, thank you. Yeah, so who do we think should have the appointing authority of the general counsel? Right now, as it was recommended by staff, it's appointed by the mayor with city council approval.
I'll note that we're not recommending.
Not recommended, but as stated by staff.
It's the one we were asked to research.
There's no page number on this. It's this one. This is this one. It has bifurcation in the middle.
Okay, it's on this new one.
Oh, it's on this new one. Yeah, sorry.
Sorry, the new document.
So on one hand, giving the mayor the authority to appoint is a strong mayor, but on the other hand, the city council is directly in charge of they're appointed by specific districts, so that gives the power, for lack of a better word, to the people. So I think it's different legislative models that this really has, and I'm open to hearing thoughts on. Or if staff want to clarify.
I'll just note that the city council does have the CLA's office, which is theirs, I believe, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. others. So this would be either another office, or if you wanted it only appointed by the city council, that'd be a second office, or you'd be combining them. Otherwise, you know, to keep all the current structure as close to what it is when you're bifurcating, you know, because this person would be giving advice to not only the council, but all the departments, most of which directly report to the mayor in some way, shape, or form. Either she appoints, or he or she appoints the commissioners that are confirmed by council, and then they need legal advice, etc.
So most appointees across the city government are appointed by the mayor.
Yes,
not by
most commissions.
Most commissions.
And then department heads.
Department heads.
Yeah.
So this would retain that precedent
Yeah.
for appointing authority.
Yeah.
If we kept it as the mayor.
Yeah.
Okay. Any opinions? Either which way?
I think I'm just thinking of kind of what are some other models that we can kind of refer to, and I think I'm just looking at LA County because it's, you know, we're looking at Los Angeles, at least for us, we're looking at the city, but I think the way that county does it, correct me if I'm wrong, but their current county council is appointed by the board of supervisors.
Yeah,
Is that what you said?
because they have this weird CEO model that is being
Upcoming.
reworked. Well, I mean, they technically have had a CEO. Yes and no, sometimes maybe, but you know, that authority has ebbed and flowed over the decades, but county council has always, for a very long time, has been in the charter, because even when there hasn't been a CEO, there's been a county council, I believe, and so it's always been appointed by this, you know, there is no checks and balances at the county, much like, and balance of power, much like you have here at the city. So it's definitely, it's analogous, but very different at the same time.
I think where my mind is right now is that from what we've heard from staff, there's a couple of ways that this could be done. It could be via mayor, it could be city council, you mentioned CLA's office, or a combination of things.
On the CLA, I'm just saying that you could transform the CLA's office also into something that's a legal, that's a legal office. You would want, I mean, in a CLA's office that's now like an office of legislature, you would have to put a lawyer usually at the top of that, because lawyers usually report to lawyers, other than when they're reporting to their client. That's typically a model.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is, I mean, CLA only works for the council.
Only works for the
council. So they don't provide guidance to departments or the mayor or anybody else, whereas city attorney works for everyone.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you had it just CLA, you know, you'd have only the city attorney working for council, and where would departments or the mayor or everybody else get their legal advice from?
Yeah. You wouldn't, I mean, to play both, the other side is, you know, you wouldn't want, if you're, much like the controller wants their own legal advice, I'm guessing the mayor might say, you know, whoever he or she is, that they want some say over who's giving their legal advice as well.
Okay, and since we didn't give the mayor their own direct counsel, at least all that in mind, and the precedent of who typically has appointing authority of city appointees, I'm at this point in favor of leaving that authority with the mayor.
I think where my mind is at currently is because we are, I think because we just proposed, we just proposed a motion that we all voted on. I think this is a pretty new discussion that we haven't really explored yet. I personally, this is where I'm at. I would like to kind of hear kind of the map outs that you just said, and maybe that's something we send to Ad Hoc Committee to see and have a further discussion of what the appointment should look like.
I think that's a great idea. We can transmit the ability to select appointing authority to the Ad Hoc Committee.
I think what I'm hearing from staff, at least from the way that I am interpreting that, there's a couple ways we can do this. It's not just this or that.
Sure. If you want to, yeah, if you want to send that, it would be a motion to ask the ad hoc committee to decide the appointing structure of the, I think your term is general counsel. Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, and to answer like the comment from the public too, I mean, all of this stuff we're gonna have to turn into charter language at the end of the day, so we're gonna have to figure out all these details one way or another, so.
Yeah, I would also like more time to think about it because we haven't explored it that much, so I totally agree. Do you have a motion to do that?
Man, okay. I would say for the motion then, I would put forward that given, I don't think how I want to phrase this.
Well, I mean, I think it could be as a motion just to send it to the ad hoc committee if you want.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yeah, I think, yeah, in terms of the appointing authority based on the recommendation that we sent up just right now with the motion to.
We'll have Kate repeat it, make sure we got what you want.
Yeah, so I think you actually had just previously stated it, so the motion would be to transmit the ability to select appointing authority of the general counsel to the ad hoc committee.
I would be good with that.
Great, I'm happy to second that.
Do we have discussion after the motion is stated?
Now we have to.
No. Okay, sorry, not to add more into this. I agree with Commissioner Mack's suggestion of sending both recommendations over. We also had another recommendation that wasn't represented here to have the 3 separate offices. I'd be interested in having that bundled with this.
Can you clarify?
So
3
we had
separate offices?
received a public comment where there would be 3 separate offices, one appointed by the mayor, one by council, and then elected.
Wait, one more time. One by mayor, one by council, and then elected. Okay.
So I'd be interested in, since it's not represented here, if we're sending these 2 versions to ad hoc, I'd be interested in that.
I mean, I can just beg you not to send everything and to make a decision today.
Well, it's not everything.
That's all I can do. Whether or not you do it or not, it's up to you. But I mean, yeah, that's all I'll say.
Commissioner Fuentes, might I suggest instead of transmitting all 3, giving the ad hoc committee the ability to include the mayor's office in the list of independent entities if they so choose. So that would give them 2 things that they can think about. 1, should the mayor have the ability to appoint their own council? And then 2, regardless, in one system or the other, who should be the appointing authority of the general counsel?
Wait, so adding the mayor to ethics controller, IRC, and CRC?
Yes, which might have to be a separate. Or no, I think we can just say to give ad hoc the ability to have. I mean, if you want that to be.
Yeah, and sorry, I should have brought that up when you had your original motion. So
Okay.
sure, I'm fine with that. If you want to
I'm
say
okay
anything.
with it.
So, without having a parliamentary expert here, I would say someone would have to make a motion to amend the previous, to add the mayor to the list of ethics controller, IRC, and CRC.
Okay, so maybe 2 separate, so we would deal with this one first and then go back.
Yes,
Okay,
sorry.
okay. Let's deal with this one first by itself, the original motion, just to transmit.
Can I have Kate reread it one more time?
Yes, thank you.
The first.
The first one, yeah.
Sorry, the second motion, because the first motion
The one
is moving
where we're
forward.
setting it just ad hoc.
Yes.
Motion to transmit the ability to select the appointing authority of general counsel to the ad hoc committee. Is that the right one?
Yes, okay. Any discussion on that specific motion? Okay, seeing no discussion, let's put it up for a vote. The chair votes yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Abstain.
Okay,
Not abstain. You
No.
have to leave the room. Okay.
No.
Okay, perfect.
Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Okay. Now moving on to, you had a motion then on the table.
Yes, I did have a motion to
Can we-
amend.
Okay.
Do I need
Can
to
we
read-
clarify
sorry.
your vote, Commissioner Andrade?
Yes, the chair voted yes.
Okay.
Yes, so the motion, the transmission passed. It will be transmitted. Sorry, Commissioner Fuentes,
Okay,
you had a
sorry.
You
motion.
want to amend?
Yes. Do I need to restate the full motion?
Yes, please.
Can you read back the full motion?
Do we have the full motion yet?
Well, we're going back to that original motion.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you restate that?
motion from Andrades Fuentes, although general counsel is the default, the following entities, the Ethics Commission, the Independent Redistricting Commission, Charter Reform Commission, and City Controller have the authority to hire direct counsel with authority to fire for periods of time when requested. If the entities don't hire, then general counsel is the default.
And you want to amend that to add, motion to amend to add mayor to that list.
Yes.
Is there a second? Okay. Without a second, it dies.
Yeah, we're gonna move on then.
It did not die. It died.
The motion.
Just more housekeeping. So I was wrong. We have two about independent legal counsel. So the IRC one is on here also.
Yeah.
So that motion that you did on that, we'll put it both in the controller one and for the IRC one.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay. The city attorney, I believe.
Is there anything else on city attorney? Okay, then we are going to move on to our next
I think I
document.
said next one would be council expansion.
Yeah.
Kate Max, you want to take this one?
Sure, so the council expansion memo expands a little bit on the CLA's council expansion reports for the City Council Ad Hoc Governance Reform Committee. In the CLA's reports, they talked a little bit about some limited fiscal impacts, which would be like due to expanding council offices, potentially staffing costs would increase because you're expanding the council offices without actually changing the authorities of what the city council might be doing. They also did a limited surveying of different city departments on what different requests city departments such as like public works and city planning and like any different council requests for their districts, those would obviously increase. They also did a little bit of an analysis on the mechanism for expanding council. So either by recommending a specific number, which is something that the commission thus far has seemed to be discussing, or recommending expansion based on fixed population growth. We did a little bit of research into that, just kind of like feasibility, and the only city that we found that had a charter provision using fixed population growth was the city of Houston. In 2011 expanded their council by 2 members because they had a charter provision that stated once the city grows above 2.1 million residents, that automatically would trigger council expansion of 2 seats. However, there were legal issues in actually determining when that threshold had passed, and it was like a little bit of a headache for the city to determine when they were going to determine that trigger. So this might not be a totally feasible option, but we did want to include it because it's been something that's been brought up in public comment and in the CLA reports. Additionally, I just want to note that we didn't provide any maps because we don't have the resources. I don't know if Max wants to say a little bit more about that.
So we did reach out to a academic institution to ask if they could do it, and yeah, I guess putting out an open call. I mean, it seems like it would be, you know, if someone's skilled, you know, GIS, or they could do that, but we're trying.
But again, I will make the promise that we won't make them of like CRC official maps. We'll just point you in that direction. And say like, oh hey, UCLA, there's a study out there that has that map. Feel free to go look at it. But like we're just not going to create maps and post them on our website.
Yeah, and I think it would be, I mean, kind of along the lines of what you guys were talking about, which would, you know, you have X amount of, you know, X percent of the city is this group, and like at what levels would it be possible to, you know, create districts for certain groups of interest. So that's kind of what, you know, we're trying to get, but we'll see if we'll be able to do that in time for that to be relevant.
Thank you. I guess to start off with this, so that we can recall why we're discussing this again, we had sent a range of 23 to 31 to the full commission, and then on January 7th, the commission voted in favor of council expansion, and then directed staff to further research potential scenarios for council expansion. So I think the first question on the table is, do we want to change our range with this new information in mind? Either, yeah, thoughts on that from anyone?
I think initially for myself, you know, we put forward the range 23 to 31. I think I'm going to double down on that.
Okay.
And happy to kind of talk a little bit more of what my thought process was with that. I know last commission meeting we kind of started to get into the nitty gritty of like why we did that range, and maybe just for the sake of discussion amongst the three of us, happy to share a little bit more. But I think really just pointing back at the range 23 to 31, I think our initial reason for doing that was because of the research that was given to us via RLA. And I think I do just want to point at them, and kind of personally for myself, I think for me, RLA is a coalition that is, you know, wide coalition of folks within LA City. And I think something that is valuable for me that I continue to see kind of a lack of here is the API voice. I know some of the questions that we got or some of the conversations that we had last week was, you know, how does this affect Black and Asian voters? I think that's part of the discussion. In our staff report, we point a lot at Koreatown as an example. And so I think just really pointing back as RLA as a valuable resource that we should really loop into for, you know, continuing this conversation for the Ad Hoc Committee. Because, you know, RLA, I would say, you know, widespread coalition, but also includes, I just want to voice, because, you know, it's not as apparent, includes API voices. And I think one of the liaisons of RLA is API Equity Alliance. And so for folks who are not aware of this nonprofit, they are also a coalition that pulls together about 40 organizations in LA, API organizations, and so they are talking about civic engagement and looking at charter reform generally and expansion. I think they were part of the original conversations back in 2022. So I think as a resource, you know, I think we're in the stage where we're looking for more resources. So I want to point at that. And I know we had some conversations on Koreatown and what does that distribution looks like and how it affects, you know, all communities of colors. And so really just wanted to point back at them. In terms of additional research, this is like a food for thought, half-baked idea, but I know we've had our redistricting commissions for the city in the past. Wasn't IRC. However, I've had conversations with a couple of them, and they have some pretty strong thoughts about, you know, they were in the nitty-gritty of kind of figuring out drawing the lines, and they had to have the conversations of, you know, drawing lines between Koreatown and other communities within LA City, wondering if that is a resource as well. Happy to also maybe connect you with folks who are happy to talk about expansion. I think if we want that, because I think I'm just referring back to the conversations we had last meeting, full commission, about we don't draw maps, or you guys don't have the skills to draw maps. I think that is true. You know, not what you're tasked to do here.
Yeah.
But I think if we're looking for more information for folks who already done it or was part of the process prior, I think it's just an additional resource.
I think they'd be great to come in and give public comment. The only hazard I would say is they were very entrenched in 15, and they know 15 really well. And you're looking at, you know, they couldn't imagine, they weren't allowed to imagine what you get to imagine, which is exciting, more than 15.
Happy to make a connection. I actually met someone who was on it who was actually following along with the charter reform.
Oh, fantastic.
And talked about expansion. And so I think she would have some pretty great thoughts. I'll connect with you separately with her, even if it's not
or
a presentation.
Letter or something,
Even if like having a 30-minute call with her as staff to get kind of point you in the right direction. I think I'm just trying to point at what are some other resources.
That's a really cool resource, actually. Yeah.
So we can touch base on that separately, but I think those are kind of my piece. Want to double down on 23 to 31 as a way, and I think just really pointing at RLA and thanking them for their research around that, and I think just uplifting that they are representative of multiple groups in LA.
Yeah.
So.
Thank you. Commissioner Fuentes, I'm not putting you on the spot. Do you want to share anything or?
No, I support our original range that we proposed.
Me too, actually. But I do actually, I know that this memo, I imagine, will get transmitted to the Ad Hoc Committee because they would have to decide on the range.
I would just say, you also have the option today, because we talk about the other models in here as well, and they kind of conflict. So if you wanted to choose, that'd be great too, or we just send it all to, or it just all goes out to Ad Hoc anyway.
Okay. Before we get there, I guess it's related to that, but my first question then for the full commission is, I know that last time we had decided to move forward with multi-member districts, both in terms of like pure multi-member and then this boroughing model, and then also single-member districts. Do we want to make a decision to dispose of one of those three options today? I know it's two, because multi and single, but I think multi-member is a little more nuanced, so I'm gonna say three options. Or do we want to leave it as is?
I feel comfortable leaving it as is.
Okay. Commissioner Fuentes.
Moving forward with all our
Yes.
recommendations.
Yes, thank you. Commissioner Fuentes. Commissioner Mack.
I would be comfortable with leaving it as is. My understanding is that we are reflecting the range as well within the multi-member district.
That's fine by me too. I do have one suggestion for staff prior to transmitting this memo to our counterparts on that other committee. We received a couple of public comments, one that talked about the procedural posture of multi-member districts as it relates to the VRA implications, so like the legal frameworks you had mentioned on page 4.
Yes.
So if you could just, one, get the information that was submitted in public comment and maybe include it, because they had a lot of nuance that talked about multi-member districts. I am specifically talking about public comment that...
Oh, thank you so much.
I know which one you're talking
You're not, okay.
Okay, perfect.
And then I had one more recommendation. We have talked about 3 and 5. We've talked about multi-member, but in some places it's specified as 3. I think that we had public comment that stated that technically it could be 5, so just adding a small line next to 3 that it could be 5 if the ad hoc committee chooses, but not necessarily further research, just showcasing to the committee that 3 is not the end-all be-all with regard to the amount of multi-member districts. But I guess I will motion to include those 2 items and transmit our original recommendation as previously stated.
Sure, just give us 1 second to make sure we have that typed out, and we'll read it back before there's a second, if there's a second.
Okay, so the motion is to include, well, what you said was the motion was to include the 2 items being add information from the public comment about multi-member. And just to clarify, that's the one that says 8 paragraphs about multi-member.
Yeah, and he talked about like the different cities where they've been exploring it and the legal challenges that they've experienced, but also how it's been upheld in a few places and that it doesn't directly conflict with the VRA. In California.
Okay.
Yeah, we got this like this morning after the public comment period had closed. But I found it really interesting.
Yeah, and we can add that, I mean, we can attach that public comment text directly. We don't have to, like, just so we don't.
However, it's most easily visible for the ad hoc committee to see is helpful.
And then adding the option 3-5
Yeah,
for
3 or
multi-member.
5, yeah. So that it's clear that 3 is not the only item on the table, it's just what advocates have typically suggested 3 in this committee.
Let's make sure we got that, and then there you go, we just need a second.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Great. I will vote yes. Commissioner Fuentes
Yes.
and Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
Great.
Alrighty, that's 1 and 2, and then 3 is going to be expanding the voting electorate for city and LAUSD elections. I will say that 3 times quickly. Kate, what do you do?
Yeah, so it kind of expanded on information so in staff report 2, we really didn't provide any additional information other than the recommendation itself. This just provides a little bit of context about what happened in Oakland and Berkeley, who lowered the voting age in 2016, and then this was specifically for lowering the voting age for school board elections. Another issue that was raised was allowing non-citizens to vote in school board elections, so that's actually something that San Francisco started doing this past year, so we wanted to include that as well. And then in terms of as it connects to LAUSD, we provided a little bit of context about LAUSD. In 2019, there was a resolution that the school board approved directing the superintendent to report on the feasibility of a ballot measure to lower the voting age for LAUSD elections to 16. This was obviously before COVID, so I think they didn't get a report back, and that was something that hasn't necessarily been in the news as much, so we just wanted to kind of preface where LAUSD was in terms of that motion. They'd already been looking at it, and it's been brought up again with charter reform. But
That makes sense.
this is the information that we have, and then I know public comment. There were a couple different letters from different organizations that provide a little bit more information as well.
That makes sense. Thank you for clarifying. So for this specific item, we had originally motioned for further research and the full commission on Monday, this week. The last time the full commission met, it was referred back to this committee for further deliberation. I know that in the past I had been apprehensive, but I think part of the reason that I was apprehensive was because we're looping in the voting electorate for the full city and the voting electorate for LAUSD elections, and I think, in my opinion, it might be a good idea to treat those two things separately. There's not a ton of polling about what the public thinks about, expanding the vote to people that are under the age of 18 and above the age of 16. Federally, there are a few polls, and typically, at least with regard to federal elections, a supermajority of eligible voters don't agree with that policy. And then, as our staff showed, San Francisco had a really big challenge, both with getting this on the ballot, and then with passing it. And then our neighboring Culver City, this actually failed by about 14 votes. So my apprehension wasn't with the merits of the proposal, but with the political viability of putting this on the charter amendment, or in the charter amendment process. As originally discussed though by our public comment, we don't necessarily have to do that. We can treat it as its own. I just don't want this to be a poison pill that's really controversial and then it tanks other pro-voting amendments. Because I think that some of the stuff we're talking about, like ranked choice voting, expanding city council, could really excite the youth voting bloc, and I'm most interested in making sure that the youth voting bloc increases their voting rate. So those are my opinions right now, but I would love to hear about what the rest of the committee is thinking since we've gotten further research back from staff, and if they have a motion that goes either way on that.
Yeah, I'd like to move all of this to ad hoc, and also in the same way you suggested, we include public comment, specifically including the public comment from RepresentLA. And if that's separately, to your point, to separate these 3 things so that they could be looked at as separate issues rather than lumping them all together. If that's helpful to a motion, I'd support that. 3 separate motions to move each independently. But
Second all of those.
Okay, cool. Let's do it.
Okay, you're just trying to make that language hard for us to figure out.
Just
Well, let's make sure we got it right though. So was it 3 separate motions, or are you doing, okay,
Yeah,
so
let's do 3 separate.
Okay, let's do one at a time.
Okay.
Perfect, so first one.
Ooh, let me use this. Motion to move forward lowering the voting age to the ad hoc committee with reference to RepresentLA's public comment. Does that make sense?
I think so, yeah. You want to repeat it just to make sure?
Yeah. Motion to move forward lowering the voting age to the Ad Hoc Committee with reference to the Fair Rep LA public comment.
Motion to,
We need a second.
I'll second that one. And do we have discussion on that specific motion?
Yeah, I think maybe this will be in a form of amendment, but I think what you said earlier, Chair John, is that it might be interesting, and I think I brought this in the first time we had this, the staff report shown to us, and I brought it up in our full commission meeting, but I think right now we're looking at city and LAUSD elections. I'm wondering, like, I'm thinking of like what are our options here, and if we can have these, like, I feel like we're packaging it together currently as voting electorate, and I think that is one of the options. But I think another option is like having city and LAUSD separated as different menus. I think it's like there's different things we can do within this menu. I don't know if that's just something we can direct staff to do in terms of reporting back to ad hoc, but I think from a process standpoint, I'm just figuring out, like, does it have to be together? Can we do it separately? Like, what is that conversation? But I think generally, I am interested in, I do support this motion of.
I can amend that to be more specific.
Yeah.
Can you amend the first thing I said to be city council or city races? And then I'll say the same thing exactly again, but with LUSD elections.
So those will be separate motions.
Sure.
Perfect, okay, yeah. So let's read back now the new.
Okay, so the first motion is gonna be motion to move forward lowering the voting age for, do you want it to be city elections?
City municipal elections.
Okay, for city municipal elections to the Ad Hoc Committee with reference to the Fair Rep LA public comment.
Yes.
And then the second motion.
Nope. Well, let's stop there.
Yeah, because we have a discussion. Sorry.
Yes, okay, so second that as amended and stated. Do we have discussion on that specific
Just have to hit the
motion with regard to municipal elections?
Someone's leaning on the wall.
It's the override switch outside, that's all. 1 second.
Pause till the lights come back.
There
on.
we go.
Okay.
Okay.
Discussion on that specific carve out. Seeing no discussion, let's put it up for a vote. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Sorry. And then Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. Now we can move on to your second motion.
Yes. Motion to lower the voting age for LUSD elections with reference to Fair Rep LA's attachment.
Great.
I swear I have it written down. Do I need to rewrite?
I think we're good.
I think
that was simple enough. We got. I think.
Yeah, I will again second that, Commissioner Fuentes. Do we have any discussion on that specific item? Great. Let's put it up for a vote. I will vote yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. Now your next motion, Commissioner Fuentes.
Motion to expand voting in municipal elections to non-citizens. Is that the correct phrasing?
And transmit to ad hoc.
Yeah, and transmit to ad hoc, again, with reference to Fair Rep LA's attachment.
Great. I will second that one as well. Yes, I'll second it, and then I'll open to discussion. I do think that the staff in the memo that you had originally written, non-citizen voting is currently being litigated at the state level, I believe. So when transmitting it, can you include, I haven't been following that case very closely, so if you could include, if there's been a decision, where it is, like the procedural posture of this specific issue, would be helpful. But yeah, still second. I was only hesitant originally because I wasn't sure if it was legal for us to do. So curious to see what that looks like. At least curious for the ad hoc committee then to see what that looks like.
I'm gonna include that as a friendly amendment to include context on the decision happening at the state level on non-citizen voting.
Okay, are you okay with that, Commissioner?
Yeah,
Fuentes?
that sounds good. Thank you.
And then, again, sorry.
Oh, we have to, discussion. Anybody else have opinions about or flags?
My intent is to propose the same motion again with LUSD as the carve-out.
Great, okay, that sounds good. Okay, then we will put it up for a vote since I see no discussion. I will vote yes as the chair, Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack.
Yes.
Great. Last motion.
I think we got it. Hold on. Just let her type it.
Yeah, so that motion was to expand voting in municipal elections to non-citizens and transmit to ad hoc with reference to the FAIR-LA attachment with a friendly amendment to include context on the decision at the state level on non-citizen voting.
And now copy paste LAUSD.
Great. Second that again. Any discussion on that specific motion? Seeing no discussion, I will again vote yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Those are our three, and I know Commissioner Fuentes would like to make a motion as well.
Okay, Commissioner Fuentes would like to make a motion.
Yes, I would like to make a motion. This was authored by Commissioner Schlageter, and I seconded it. The motion is to consider depoliticizing constituent service responses by assigning to Dunn the role of constituent service follow-up communications. And can I give a little bit of background?
Yeah, feel free.
Okay, awesome. So, as I said, I'm speaking today to a motion authored by Commissioner Schlageter, which I seconded, asking that our committee consider a structural approach to depoliticizing constituent service follow-up by assigning that responsibility to Dunn. The problem this motion responds to is very familiar. While LA has centralized the intake of service requests through 311, the follow-up and communication around those requests remains fragmented and widely perceived as political. Constituents often feel that outcomes depend on who they know or which offices they contact rather than on clear constituent, transparent processes. This motion proposes building on the existing 311 model by institutionalizing a neutral, professional follow-up function within Dunn. The idea is to create constituent service deputies whose role would be to communicate the status, rationale, and next steps of service requests across departments in an apolitical way. So this is not about changing how services are delivered, but about improving how the city communicates and follows through. So today, I'm simply asking that this motion be included among our committee's considerations so we can further examine, or the ad hoc committee can further examine whether this type of institutional apolitical constituent service structure belongs in our charter recommendations.
Thank you. Before we get into seconds, I do have a question for staff since it was raised earlier in public comment. Is this motion germane to the jurisdiction of this committee?
I think because it falls under, where's the agenda? So we can make sure we read the agenda and have that really closely. Thank you so much. Since the phrasing of the agenda item 1 is kind of provisions related to and policies of city council expansion, city executive, city attorney, elections and voting policy regarding, it could kind of fall under city council expansion and possible action related report backs and requests. And also because the phrasing is amendments including but not limited to, because this is government structure. That's what I was looking for to say, is because this relates to government structure. I believe that this could probably fall under a couple committees, honestly. So I think it could be a motion properly heard here.
And just to respond to that, I know Commissioner Schlageter's original intent was to bring it up in his own committee, but there wasn't enough time.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only reason why we're hearing it here instead.
Well, thank you. I agree. I think that since we're talking about expanding city council and CLA has brought up how we would need to think about reforms to things like voting, I think this fits into reforms to office functions that might be necessary. I'm interested to discuss, so for that reason I will second the motion so that we can have a more substantive discussion on the particulars of this. Yes. But I have some questions if that's okay with you, now that we have discussion.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, great. Okay.
Your chair, you can.
Nice, I'm cordial. No, so I know that we're now giving a new role to Dunn, but have we talked to that agency to discuss the viability of that yet. Have you, Commissioner Fuentes?
I have not, and I cannot speak to whether Commissioner Schlageter has or hasn't.
Okay. I did get a late night phone call from our good friend, Carmen, asking about this. She had just heard about it from someone sending her the motion. She has not talked to anyone about it. And I said, you know, it was late, that this is, and I asked her specifically if Martin had reached out to her, and she said no. And, you know, they haven't, as if this was, you know, something that was done earlier in the process, we would have, staff would have studied it, we would have worked on done, and we would have worked with council offices because it affects those two entities. And we would have gotten like pros and cons, talked about projected budgets and impacts, and maybe even have some language. So since none of that, and also try and socialize it and have as a study session, maybe presentations. So since none of that actually happened, that's just my concern with hearing it this late in the game, such a major proposal that would inherently affect council offices and done in such a way. I think what she said on the phone to me was like, I mean, I don't know if I can, this would require me quadrupling staff. I mean, so that's just her off the cuff, like, yes. We haven't done any study, we haven't done any research on this, so this is just as is, which again, I appreciate Commissioner Schlageter. He is a motion writing machine, and he has been doing some really exciting work on his committee, and socializing and getting stuff out there on subjects that we'd already been like, we've been talking for a long time about CIP, and he had a model on CIP that also touched on some of the offices, but those were all stuff that we've been socializing and talking about and researching for a long time. This is just a brand new structure. So, having said that, yeah.
Okay, thanks, thank you, Executive Director. Commissioner Mack, I have more, but Commissioner Mack, before that, do you have any?
Yeah, my thoughts currently, having read this motion, my understanding is that this is the example of the overlap of all of our committees. So to me, this is a combination of government structure, but also planning and infrastructure, but also better government, because that is where we are talking about neighborhood council as well.
Okay. Yeah.
So to me, this is three, and so it makes sense to me that this is the discussion that we have in the Ad Hoc Committee, given the overlapping of the three committees. And so that's kind of where I'm at. And so I could appreciate this motion coming forth for us, and I think it is in its early stages of kind of what it is, but I think because we are dealing with the overlapping of the different committees that I would be interested in transmitting it to Ad Hoc.
Commissioner Fuentes, are you open to transmitting this without a formal recommendation, but just sending the motion itself to the Ad Hoc Committee for consideration?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think there's enough information here that the Ad Hoc could go forward based off of this.
Okay, I think that's, if you're open to a friendly amendment to transmit this motion as written with just to the Ad Hoc Committee.
Sure.
Okay. Make sure we have that. Let me make sure Keith's got it.
Motion to transmit the motion as written to the Ad Hoc Committee.
Great, okay. And it was already seconded, so I guess we can put it up to, is there any further discussion? Okay, the chair will vote yes. Commissioner Fuentes?
Yes.
And Commissioner Mack?
Yes.
Great. Well, thank you so much. That will go to Commissioner Stein, Chair Stein, come this weekend.
I'd like to make one other motion if possible.
That was what I was gonna ask.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion related to a written request we've received from the RepresentLA Coalition, which includes immigrant right organizations. The coalition is urging the commission to consider enshrining the right to access counsel for deportation defense in the Los Angeles City Charter as a part of our charter review and reform process. The request asks that we conduct the appropriate research, if there's enough time permitting, and discussion to fully develop and explore this issue, including placing it Originally, they were asking for it to be placed on the agenda of the Better Government Committee for consideration. Since that committee's last meeting has elapsed and it didn't make it onto the agenda, I wanted to put it in front of this committee as well, given the scope of our charge and the importance of evaluating potential charter reforms.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'm not opposed to the motion. I'm really not opposed to the motion, but I'm just not.
I just need an argument for why it's government structure.
I believe it intersects with government structure. What do you mean?
Because government structure, because it's agendized.
Yeah.
That's why I just need you to connect it to the structure, the agenda item 1. So that, you know what I'm saying? Because that's what's been noticed.
Okay, valid.
Yeah.
Maybe this way, issues related to provisions related to policies, including the role of the city attorney. From top of mind, does protected right to counsel fit into the current?
That could get you there.
Nope, it does not.
That could.
The city attorney has nothing to do with representing.
At the moment, yes, they do not. You'd have to foist that onto the city attorney's office to represent.
Given attorneys at the city attorney's office, that's what you mean.
Yeah, they'd have to hire new.
I know about representing.
So for example, what he's saying is, no one in the city can knock on the city attorney's door and ask for legal advice. So they are not set up that way.
Because they only represent departments and
They only give
city entities.
Yeah, they only give advice to departments, city entities, city officials. So this would inherently change that. I'm trying to get you there. That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Creatively, if you could see my wheels working. And I would just say send it directly to the Ad Hoc Committee.
Then I'd like to do that.
That's
Okay.
action.
Yeah, let's see if we can.
But we can't action that. But you could email Tad.
I will do that.
Okay. Okay. Or you could email Ray and you could put it on the full commission's agenda too. That's not out of the question.
Or Commissioner Brackett.
And that's in the charter. I don't think it's in the charter.
Let's bring it up.
Oh, okay. So just for more information, go ahead, my friend, Deputy Director.
Well, I mean, so there is a right to counsel for tenants that the housing department does, but it's an ordinance, it's not in the charter. Because the housing department's not in the
And they have funding for that, yeah.
Which makes it budget committee, personnel and budget. So I will just say this, Commissioner Fuentes, I don't think we can hear it, but I would encourage you to transmit it to the appropriate entity or entities. Because for the record, I think that what we're seeing across the country shows that we need a city response to ICE as quickly as possible and as legally permissible as possible. So I support the intent. I just don't think this is the right venue. But I encourage you to find the correct venue, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay. With that, do we have anything related though to?
We'll talk later. Okay.
Do we have anything related to item number 1 before I move on to adjournment? Any additional motions or considerations from our committee members? Okay, great. Well, thank you so much to our staff for rolling with the punches. I know that this committee met a lot. And we required a lot of you all, as you'll see from the pages of research. And thank you so much to my fellow committee members. I really appreciated to share this space and to try to build a better city government. I know that we had a hard timeline. We couldn't do everything that we had wanted to do, and we couldn't even consider everything that we had wanted to. But I think that we really did some important work. So thank you all for joining me in this mission. But now I will do I have a motion to adjourn our final meeting of the Committee of Government Structure? I see Commissioner Fuentes nodding, so I'll take that.
Second.
Okay. Okay. Well, with that, seeing nothing else, thank you all so much for coming. Thank you to the public. Encourage you to continue to come to the rest of the commission's meetings.
And thank you, commissioners, for working with us so diligently. You had a lot of work to do as well on this. This was not easy, and you met the task. Thank you so much.